Welcome back to Backyard Texas BBQ. Today I am making cheater ribs. So my name is Kristen, and every Friday I share with you a new barbecue recipe, whether it's a dessert, a side dish, or some delicious meat. So if you want new barbecue recipes, make sure to follow along. So sometimes it is just too cold to use your barbecue. So I'm showing you two different ways you can make barbecue ribs inside. So I'm gonna show you how to make the ribs with your Instant Pot and another one with your slow cooker. So if you're ready, let's go make these delicious barbecue ribs. So you're first gonna start with 2 cups of your favorite barbecue sauce. Now I like to use a sweeter barbecue sauce because I like a little bit sweeter ribs. So 2 cups of the sauce. Next you're gonna add 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. And on top of that, 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. Now the last thing you're gonna add is a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Now if you don't want it as spicy, go ahead and just do like half a teaspoon. All right, when you're done, you're gonna mix it all together. Make sure you get all the brown sugar chunks out of it. So I grabbed some ribs at my local grocery store, and now you just wanna clean up all the fat. No one likes to bite into a giant bite of fat. Now once you're done with the fat on the front, go ahead and flip it over, and you're going to take off the membrane. So I like to use a fork. It makes it a little bit easier. This is the hard, tough stuff that is hard to bite into, and it just doesn't taste very good. So go ahead and just take that off the best that you can. All right, once we're ready to go, we're going to put your rack of ribs into your slow cooker. If you have to bend it over a little bit so it will fit, that's great. If you want to add 2 racks of ribs, you can stand it on its side and cook it that way. All right, so I'm going to add my barbecue sauce. Make sure you get underneath where you folded it over so it will fit. You want to just cover the whole thing with the sauce. Now when you're done, go ahead and put the lid on your ribs, and you're gonna cook it on low for 8 hours. You can also cook this on high for 3 to 4 hours, but I prefer the low and slow better. Now when it's all done, go ahead and take your lid off, and as you can see, the bones are literally like falling off the meat. Now I like to broil my ribs for just a few minutes when they're done, so I just lay down some foil onto the cookie sheet and then put my ribs right onto it. Now these things were so tender that they fell apart coming out. All right, now I'm just gonna take a little bit left of that Stubbs barbecue sauce and just rub it on top, because you want to have like a delicious glaze of this barbecue sauce when you put it in the oven. So now I'm gonna broil in the oven for 2 minutes. You don't have to do this step because it is delicious with or without it, but I like to just make it a little crispier on the edges. So now I'm just gonna chop it up and then get ready to serve and eat. Now these are literally falling off the bone. I just wanna show you how easy it is just to pull the bone right out of the ribs. This is one of my favorite ways to make ribs. All right, we're moving on to the next recipe. I'm making these ribs in the Instant Pot. Now if you've never heard of the Instant Pot, it's probably one of my most favorite things to cook with. So in this recipe, I added 1 cup of apple juice onto the bottom, and then I just lightly salted my ribs. And like I showed you earlier, I did take off all the fat and membranes. All right, so we're putting the lid on, making sure that the knob is on sealing. Then you're gonna push the manual button or the pressure cook button, depending on what you have. And we're gonna cook it for 25 minutes. Now once your Instant Pot beeps, an L will appear. That means that the timer is done and it's starting to count up. So you can go ahead and do a quick release. So I move that little knob to venting. Now while the pressure is coming out, I'm getting my cookie sheet all ready to go, lined with foil. I'm also preheating my oven to broil. Now once all the steam's out, you can take the lid off of your ribs, and then I'm going to just take them with some prongs and put them on my foil-lined cookie sheet. Now it's time to add a little bit of barbecue sauce. Now I like to use, like I said before, Stubbs Sticky Sweet Barbecue Sauce. It's one of my favorites. So go ahead and just pour it on and then spread it all around your ribs. Now when it comes to broil, I like to cook it for about 2 minutes. If it needs a little bit longer, I'll just sit and watch it, because you don't want to forget about it or it will burn. All right, when it's all done, go ahead and take it out, and it looks absolutely delicious. So go ahead and cut in. Now these ribs are not as fall off the bone as the slow cooker ones, but my husband likes them better this way. So it really just depends on your preference and what you like. But for me, this is the perfect way to cook ribs indoors when it's cold. You guys ready for the taste test? Yeah, those are good. All right, you guys, thanks so much for joining me. Now, if you want to see how I make my smoked barbecue ribs, you can click right up there. And then if you're also looking for a delicious smoked pulled pork, you can click on that video right there. All right, you guys, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next Friday.